whole entire St. Lucci team. We've got Lucci here himself. We've got Pete here. Obviously, I'm in the public chat room. Feel free to check that out sometime. All you guys that were in there, hopefully you guys were able to catch a little bit of the Apple rights. And honestly, today was super uber slow in terms of momentum. And so we kind of just sat around twiddling our thumbs. A couple guys were able to catch decent moves. We've got Charlie here too. Just a little precursor if you guys are new. We are very real people, so we do curse at times because we do care about what we do and we're very passionate about it. So if you've got kids around, hide them, stash them away, you know. And,
hide your kids.
Hide your kids.
Hide your wife.
Yeah, whatever. And so without further ado, Charlie's got a few words about our upcoming class, the 4-day course. Go ahead, Charlie.
Hey guys, so as usual, we're just giving you a rundown on what we have coming up this week. So on Monday, which is May 6th, I believe, this coming Monday, Pete is going to be hosting his last Introduction to Options class. That's the 4-day course, usually costs $250. Pete teaches you everything about the fundamentals of options and then goes into, Lucci's such a popular guy, his cell phone's ringing in the middle of a webinar. He goes into the fundamentals of options and goes into brokers and platform setups, trading psychology. It's a really good intro class for those of you who are sort of hesitant about taking the plunge into options, but you want to learn more. It's not just about our style. It's about any type of trading or investing with options. So, definitely it's been a great class for a lot of people. We've had a lot of people be successful with it. We are retiring it because we are launching a new product, which is actually going to be very badass. We're not going to talk to you about it now because we want to make sure we have all the details, worked out before we do that. But so since this is the last opportunity for you guys to get into it, we wanted to give you guys a special discount just for being here tonight. If you want to sign up for the Introduction to Options class, we're giving you a $75 discount. All you have to do is put Twitter in as the coupon code at checkout. I will put all those links into the chat. Definitely get in there, guys. Pete is a very good teacher, so take advantage of that.
All right. So let's talk about Twitter. Let's have some fun here, guys. First of all, let's start off with just basically talking about some of the reasons why we use Twitter, and then some of the strategies that you want to use Twitter for and some that you kind of want to go away with. The one thing that I do want to just start off with is the one most important thing about Twitter is that there's a lot of noise. You can get a lot of noise on this stuff. I mean, people who have, they're following 1,000 different traders, and all of these guys are just kind of shooting out different ideas for whether it's FDA approvals or penny stocks or pump and dumps or option traders or long-term guys or fundamentals. You can get so bogged down under all the information. So it's kind of like, just pulling up a regular website like a marketwatch.com. There's a lot of noise here, and you really have to know what to single out. You really have to know what to pay attention to versus really just taking everything at face value. So, for example, in any of these Market Watch articles where they talk about earnings or how a stock reacted to Fed minutes, that might not be the whole story. And again, which is why we preach a lot on tape reading and understanding price action, because just because a report came out negative or bearish, it doesn't mean that stock's going to go down or the market's going to go down. It doesn't really work like that. So definitely when you are using Twitter, try to keep the noise down. Try to make sure that you're not following too many people with that many different strategies. So then that goes into what style of trading you are. So if you're an options trader and you only trade options, then what the hell are you doing? Why are you following all these penny stock guys and then randomly just pulling up all the, it might be the penny stock flavor of the day. I don't know anything about penny stocks or whatever, but if you're going to get kind of taken away from your own trading strategy, if you're sitting there just trying to read Twitter and looking for the ideas to trade on Twitter. Pete, you want to add anything to that one?
Just, it's the majority of you guys probably are in here because you followed somebody on Twitter.
Right.
Followed somebody they followed on Twitter and then ended up here, which is cool. There's a lot of free material out there that you guys should take advantage of. Everybody's throwing promos out there. It's great to take advantage of, but when it comes to trading it, you have to get away from the sort of creative aspect of, just bouncing around Twitter, because again, Twitter has a lot of noise, and really being able to follow, something that is relevant to you. And the most important part there is that we really like to condone taking responsibility for your trades and taking responsibility for the risk you put on and profits and the losses you take. When you rely too much on Twitter, you become removed from that, and that essentially removes you from the real aspect of trading. You got a lot of guys out there who are always like, oh, I made this much money here, made this much money here, and then they're like, I told you so's, those cut and paste guys, timestamp it, that kind of BS. We're not cool with it. It might sound like we're even writing ourselves out of a job because we like to tweet and we like to, kind of show off, but we're trying to just show people that honestly we want to move people into options and get away from stock in general just because we see that it's a better opportunity. We want to spread the wealth, but at the same time, if all the guys in here that have been in our classes, they all know that we're not talking about, following our trades. We actually say don't just follow our trades blindly. That is the worst thing you could do, is to be like, if you see something on a tweet that says buy, Amazon at this price, most likely that's just BS, and if you don't understand your own risk parameters, most likely this is the best way for you to smoke your account out.
Definitely, definitely. So just to reiterate, what Pete was saying, and before we go into, how I really use Twitter, and then some of the guys that I do follow, or some of the ways that I use Twitter to help my own trading out, we want to reiterate that anybody who said, the people that you don't want to follow, the traders that you do not want to follow, do not, by any means, the traders that you don't want to follow are the ones that are there to tell you, I told you so, you should have done this, you should have done that, you should have bought this option when X, Y, and Z, or you should have watched the technicals. You should have. Anytime you see you should have, the market, there's no right or wrong answer with how you should trade the market. There really is not. You take a gamble and you accept that risk involved. You might come out on top and you might come out with a loss. That's it. So if you're okay with that, if you're honest with your trading, those are the people that you need to be following. The people that are saying you should have done this, or why don't you use technicals, or you should use a Fibonacci thing, or whatever. Everybody does what they do. Okay, this is trading. Everybody does and uses what they do. All right. Those are the people that you do not, by any means, you do not want to follow. Anytime you see anything like that on your feed, that is an instant unfollow, okay? And guys, most of the people on my following list, like these guys aren't even traders here. A lot of these people aren't even traders. I follow random stuff on Twitter because most of the time, I don't even like to talk about trading and finance all the time, it's not always about this. However, there's some of the ways that we do use Twitter. One of the most popular ones that I particularly use Twitter is for the news. So there's plenty of news feeds out there. For example, Market Watch, Zero Hedge. There's a lot of people who just provide general market news, so that anytime there's a report that comes out, these people are quick to pick up on it. So for example, this is 2:00 p.m. today when the FOMC minutes came out. Instead of me fumbling around to go to Market Watch to see what the press release was, I just look on Twitter. So Zero Hedge might say, okay, Fed holds the course as economy weakens, and then I'll just go ahead and look at the reaction on the SPY when that news came out. So news came out here, they made no change whatsoever, and then I just look for the reaction from the market. That's all I'm doing. So I'll just get the news from whatever news feed, whether it's Zero Hedge, Benzinga, a lot of these other guys that do market research or market news. Paul L. This guy La Monica Buzz, Market Watch. These guys will all post what the results of these economic reports were. So depending on if it was a beat or a miss, I really don't care. All I'm looking for is the reaction on the SPY. Pete, you want to add anything?
And just to add to that, the inherent nature of Twitter and its open sources is really, really attractive to even public companies. I think it was Netflix that got really involved with it, reporting earnings ahead of time,
right?
Or actually alerting investors via Twitter instead of other forms of media. And it's always the speed of the media that matters to us, and then also the reaction afterwards. a lot of times you could sit on Bloomberg for 5 minutes and not know what the actual FOMC minutes were saying, but you'll see it way early on Twitter.
Right.
And that's one thing to understand about Twitter and about where it's going and about what you should be paying attention to.
Right.
Use it as something to help you guide what you're looking at in terms of news, in terms of if you have good followers that give you kind of direction on how they feel about the markets, that's totally fine. But be very careful of those that are always bragging about this penny stock did this, and then this stock did this, and then told you so on that.
Yeah.
And kind of eliminate the drama. Unless you're about the drama, just get out of the drama,
Yes, definitely. Okay, another reason why I use Twitter for the morning. So anytime in the morning when I'm doing my morning prep and I'm trying to figure out, who's upgrading what, who's downgrading what will the earnings call, on a particular stock was. So you want to find a news feed that just throws it all out there for you. So I don't have to go to MarketWatch. I don't have to go to Yahoo Finance. I don't have to go to any of these sites to look at this stuff and try to dig for the information. Most of the people that do it on Twitter, it's already here. So Benzinga is a good one. And in the morning, they'll put all the upgrades and all the coverage initiations by any analyst out there for any particular stock. And I'll just scroll through these to see if any of these interest me. Usually, none of them do because, again, I trade a watch list that is very small. But, you might be in a position where you're a scalp trader and you're taking a look and you're actually finding ideas from some of the volatility here. So you might see, let's say, CVH reports. This is kind of like a big healthcare. So you might pull up your level 2 and say, okay, let me take a look at what CVH is doing in the pre-markets. And if it's doing something crazy, you might say to yourself, all right, maybe I'll post up, and keep it on the watch list for the day to make a possible trade. Humana reported, MasterCard reported, a lot of these other stocks reported. And then if you get a nice major news feed like this, you can get it all aggregated for you right here so you don't have to go anywhere. So this is another major reason why I use Twitter, just to get information and collect for idea purposes.
And just to give you guys sort of like the basic rundowns of the pros and cons, the pros, obviously you have speed, and this is sort of like a how ahead of the curve do you want to stay? It's just like people who are reading IBD in the newspaper for a long time, and all of a sudden you have websites that give you all that kind of stuff. Then you get FinViz. Now the next advancement obviously is Twitter, and just like with our chat room, we also have a private Twitter feed. People can communicate relatively quickly with the people involved. People can also get guidance on how the markets are moving and possibly watch for things on their positions. But at the same time, the cons there, guys, is to avoid the drama and to avoid those that are always bragging and who are always, looking for to start a lot of shit, pretty much, with anybody, just to get followers. That happens to us all the time. A lot of people don't believe our P&Ls, and so they go on and start ranting about how this is BS and all this kind of stuff. And then what happens is that they gain a lot of followers just because they hit up somebody with a lot of followers too.
Right.
And again, guys, don't be a troll. Be somebody who's actually using Twitter to the fullest advantages and properly using it and making sure that you don't waste your time with cluttering your screen.
Yes. Okay. So moving on, what we want to talk about now is what are the strategies that are best used along with Twitter. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to start with my strategy in particular and why it doesn't work for Twitter. So for example, if you have somebody who is, let's say, putting out alerts on Twitter to buy a weekly option on, let's say, Apple or let's say Google and all that kind of stuff, it's too fast. Things move entirely too fast on weekly options for you to get an alert, execute off that alert from Twitter, and then still be able to keep track of it. By the time your guru or whoever you were following updates their position, that trade is already bumped. You know what I mean? That trade is already gone. And to give you an example, let's take a look at this Apple this morning, and let's say off the open, right? Let's say people saw this pre-market action, and let's say there was calls out to go long this Apple and to buy a 450 or 445 call. Okay, and these are the weeklies, guys. Okay, so let me pull this chart over so you can see what it looks like. Well, hang on here. It usually just moves over. Here we go. All right, so here's your chart of the weekly option. This is a call right here. This is a 445 call. The 450 call looks pretty much the same. And let's say you saw an alert to buy this thing off the open, all right? And you go along this option, and then all of a sudden, things just change that fast. They change that fast right off the open. So by the time you're in this thing, you're paying $4 for this thing, and then what are you going to do? You're going to wait for somebody to post the tweet that says, yeah, we were wrong, or yeah, you should probably sell out of this? By that time, you're down, what, 50% on your position, 25% on your position. These are not strategies that you want to be active looking for ideas on Twitter with, simply because they happen way too fast. And that's another reason why I kind of got out of the alerts game, because, you know, I couldn't really send out or post out an alert. Like, let's say I'm like, okay, buy Apple at whatever price on an option. By the time I send that alert, and by the time you get it and execute on it, let's say I buy that option for $1 and that thing's ready to go, you're buying for $1.25. You might even be buying for $1.50. And the move might be over at $1.70 or $1.80 on that option. And therefore, you've already lost, you know what I mean, 50 cents on that. And that's not really fair to you know, newbies who are trying to get into the game.
And that's why when we use the SL Private Reserve, guys, the private Twitter feed, we're always like we're working into positions or we're testing positions, and then we always say, hey, this was a loss, this was a gain. In general, guys, again, you know, if you're getting into the options market, it's even more essential for you to not just blindly follow, because again, due to the spreads, due to the slow speed of execution, you're probably going to miss like 20-30% of premium that you could have had earlier. Again, take responsibility for your trades and don't just blindly follow people here.
Right. So for the scalping and all that kind of stuff, I would stay away from twittering or from tweet alerts. For the longer term strategies like the penny stocks, or going long a penny stock that you're going to be holding for 2 weeks, or going short a penny stock that you're going to be holding for a couple weeks, or the biotech FDA approvals and stuff like that, that's okay. I mean, it's okay to follow somebody on that from Twitter, because it takes time to develop that trade. And, you know, it's you know, you hopping in the trade right away is not that important. You know, there's an average area or you know, just some place that you should be able to get into a stock, and then you can spend your time building that position versus scrambling to pull up a freaking option that is moving at 50 miles an hour to figure out where the hell you want to buy this thing. Okay? So those are some of the strategies that you want to keep you know, keep an idea of what works on Twitter and what doesn't.
And guys, just to tell you how we efficiently use Twitter, again, you know, we like to follow a lot of friends. We like to follow, you know, people that we're close with.
Yeah.
And it's literally, sometimes it's a good way for you to stay off the trading desk. You know, it's a way for you to be like, you know, I'm okay with this. I'm just going to talk some crap on Twitter and you know, and enjoy myself. You know, it's a form of entertainment at its core, guys. And make sure that you understand that. And again, don't blindly follow. And again, you know, they have different areas that, you know, Twitter evolved originally, at least for stock traders, from what was it, Yahoo message boards.
Yeah.
Starting with Yahoo message boards, to iHub, then to StockTwits and Twitter.
Yeah.
You know, these are all, you know, great ways of finding resources. But again, guys, it's more important for you to be able to determine for yourself what works for you and what doesn't. And stay in those areas and go with that.
Right. And guys, there are a couple posts that were thrown up there on top 100 traders, you know, to follow. There was one recently done by thestreet.com, and then they listed all the stuff that I'm sure you guys follow, all the people that I'm sure you guys follow right now. I follow a couple of these guys, Investors Live. I follow this guy, Joe Kunkel, of course. I follow him. The T3 Live guys, I do follow him. You know, so all these guys are generally, you know, these guys are generally good traders. But another thing to watch out for is that is for the gurus that, you know, they really, I guess, are more focused on the marketing aspect of things versus providing the value for a lot of their traders or a lot of their followers. You know, so you guys on Twitter, I mean, you know, you'll have recommendations from everybody. But again, as Peter said, you got to figure out what style works for you. and that way you can figure out which which one of these guys on Twitter that can really benefit your style of trading.
And not to do a shameless plug here or anything, but if you guys want to, hit us up about who we follow, feel free to shoot us an email. We got Calibrated Confidence, we got Chaim Bodek, we got Brian Weiner. All these guys are essential to us because, again, they provide valuable content, they provide valuable resources, and again, we're about providing good information for those that are actually trying to trade out there and to learn for themselves how to make proper decisions. If you don't have any of those tools, there's no point for you to even be on Twitter for trading purposes at all.
Right. And again, so before we wrap this up, we are going to you have something to say here, Charlie?
Yeah, well, I mean, guys, they were talking about the private Twitter feed, and just so you know, the only way to get access to that is to be a member of one of our chats. So I put a link into the questions bin. All you have to do is click on that. It's $1 for the first 14 days. You just sign up. You get access to the private chat. Pete's always on there. Sorry, private Twitter feed. Pete is always on there, keeping you guys informed. We can.
Other than that, the last thing that we want to leave you with, and again, I just feel like saying this again, just so that it knocks into your heads. Do not, again, don't follow anybody who says "I told you so." Anybody who says "I told you so" and is a trader, he's not a trader. He's not a true trader. He's not a real trader. Okay, a real trader knows that, again, any idea is subject to destruction and might end up in a loss. And a trader who cannot accept to that or own up to that or just realize that, he's not a trader.
And just to add to that, guys, not to call out any big names out there, but there are firms and there are companies out there that take advantage of Twitter and that take advantage of quote-unquote posting actual real P&Ls and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure you guys know all the names out there that have started mostly in penny stocks. And it's very important to understand that even though they claim to be posting a lot of their P&Ls, you need to see some real evidence. Okay, you need to see, for instance, what we like to do is we actually pull up our trade blotters throughout the day. We pull up, our actual P&L stacks.
We just we just pull it up. We don't do shit with this. So we pull it up, we paste it out, and we throw it on there. Doesn't matter.
That's literally it. There's nothing else that we could do beyond that would not. We should probably hide this now because our hedge fund guys would probably give us shit.
I was going to say.
But in general, guys, again, even those who claim to be posting real P&Ls, double check, triple check, make sure that you're following them correctly, and understand what the hell you're doing out there before you start jumping into some of these trades and you're getting smoked.
If they're only posting wins, then they're probably not being honest.
Anybody who just posts winners, that's not real. Okay, anybody who posts a chart that never has any or P&L chart that never has any downsides or any of that stuff, that's not real. That is not real. Okay.
All right, guys. So we can do a couple Q&A here. I think we got one from Greg. Who do you like, and who do you consider to be a high?
Yeah. So what we didn't want to do here, and I know it kind of sounded like it on the email. What we didn't want to do here is tell you exactly who to follow, because number one is that you have a different trading style than me. You might like tweets from another guy than me. So I didn't want to go out and tell you exactly who I like or who I like following and who you should follow or any of that stuff. What we're trying to tell you is who not to follow and what really to try to, I guess, lessen the amount of noise out there. And there's so much noise out there, it is absolutely ridiculous. Like, you could follow all of these 100 people that are recommended on this particular blog post, and in reality, this would be a crap load of noise here too. Okay, so I definitely don't want to tell you exactly who to follow and who is just a jerk off to me. Although I do have the answers to those questions. Randy is saying, "Are you using stock twits?" No, we are not using stock twits. We were debating on using it, but then it's kind of like another thing that I got to manage and.
Possibly, Randy. We've been thinking about going back into stock twits, but it's kind of like. We get a lot of StockTwits followers like organically through Twitter already. And then we're just kind of double downing. But if you guys have a request on having us on Twitter, StockTwits, show us some love and we might get back on there.
Yeah. You know what? This is like the fourth time somebody has asked me if I follow or recommend following Trader Florida, and this is not a surprise that has come up that many times. Greg is saying, instead of Twitter related, can you run us through how you cycle through your screens in the trading day, tracking sector rotation and getting a sense the sectors are heating
Greg,
up?
I was going to get to your questions.
Greg, that's a great question, except we're talking about Twitter, so it's kind of the wrong question to be asking.
Greg, basically we have a lot of screens, Greg, and the way that we actually scroll through the sectors, we actually have a small watch list. We have previous webinars you can check out. If you have specific questions on that, you can email us, but we'll just keep this related here with Twitter. But again, we do have methods of actually going through that.
Yeah, Tom is saying, any guesses on Twitter IPO market cap when they want to come out? I mean, bro, if they announce it, I would buy that. I would buy the Twitter IPO. I would definitely buy it. But you know what? I would try to find the pre-IPO shares, which is probably impossible to get a hold of. But I would try desperately to find the pre-IPO shares. Do I follow Scott Redler? Yes. I do follow the T3 Live guy. Yes, I do follow him. However, again, for the gurus out there, and again, like most of you guys are newbies, and most of you guys follow a lot of the gurus out there. I mean, a lot of these guys will post trading ideas and all that kind of stuff, but they'll kind of just post it after it happens because again, they want you, they want you to buy a subscription and all that kind of stuff. So, you want to try to go after the ones who are posting a lot of free information, and who are, let's say, not guided by other means, so to speak. Another reason why I don't aggressively put my trades on Twitter is because if you guys knew what I was trading and if you guys knew how much contracts and how many contracts I had in some of the stuff that I'm trading, I'm afraid the market makers will come after me. So there's that aspect to the game, which actually we haven't even talked about. There's the whole Twitter algorithm thing that is going on here. And of course, the conspiracy theories are out there, but in reality, it does happen. So, there's a lot of algorithms and market makers that troll Twitter. So if they know I got 1,000 contracts in, let's say, this 430 put, there could be a lot of gaming here against me. And, they could end up getting me to sell back to them at a lower price. And then all of a sudden the move happens. There's a lot of tricks that can be played. And that's one of the reasons why I don't put, my heavy trades. Or whenever I get in heavy in something, that's why I try not to post what strike I'm in and how many contracts I have. Because if you guys knew I had 1,000 contracts in LinkedIn, it could get pretty ugly.
And on top of that, guys, if you guys think that market makers sitting around in Twitter and watching things is just BS and unbelievable, you have a second thing coming. We actually know a good handful of market makers that are on Twitter.
Yeah.
And they follow us.
Yeah.
They take our trades. They sometimes don't take our trades.
Yeah.
They make markets in front of a lot of these other guys. And we're not saying it's bad practice. It's a fair market out there in terms of Twitter being used for everybody.
Right.
We actually encourage everybody to do it. But again, guys, do understand that, we do operate a relatively big operation here. Well, it's kind of like, it's an okay size operation, and but our size is valuable to a lot of hand market makers and those who are looking for a little bit of edge from us. Right. Because again, we do like to play with size here.
Yeah, Joseph is saying, how do market makers come after you when you have a lot of contracts? Well, Joseph, I don't, in the interest of answering that question as quickly as possible, market makers, again, are the ones that are fighting against you. They are the ones that have to provide the order flow for you. So they are the ones that provide the bid and ask as the market continues or as the market is open, so whether it's an option or a stock. Now remember, think about it. How can a market maker better understand his dumb retail clientele? What is the one major thing that he can do right now? He can troll Twitter, he can watch them. So now he's even got a better insight into dumb retail and some of the actions that they do. So if a market maker knows these things, and if a market maker knows there's a lot of bias, let's say to a long side or the short side or whatever, he can play a lot of games and screw people out of their money, and that is the idea. That is the idea. Tom is saying, is Fitstock legit? All I see is how much he made from him and his followers. Fitstock started from he didn't have a service before. and he threw out a lot of great picks, and he threw out a lot of great trades. So Fitzy, I do know he's a damn good trader. So right now after he has a service and blah blah blah, he kind of cut down on a lot of the free material that he was giving, and rightly so. You know what I mean? Because you can you can make money. You can make money off your followers, and again, that's kind of the business plan. But he's a good trader, man. Fitstock is a good trader. And then just another one out there that me personally that I enjoy. If you guys trade actively, if you guys trade active options, follow Bluefielder. Follow Bluefielder. He is my favorite, hands down. And then of course follow me. I mean, shit.
Yeah, at saying Lucci Trades.
I mean, follow me, shit. I mean, if we're ranking options traders here, I am the best. There's no question.
I was waiting for that.
All right. Greg is saying, do you organize your follows into lists to manage them? No, absolutely not. I only have like 3 or 4 that I actually pay attention to, so I don't need a list. And again, that's more for you guys, more for the newbies out there who are trying to figure out what strategy in particular they want to go with. So maybe you can organize them into penny stocks and this and that or whatever you want to do. So for me, guys, I do not use Twitters to find ideas. I am a professional trader. This is what I do for a living. I don't give a damn what somebody is saying on Twitter. That is the last thing I could care less about. Okay, so I'm doing my own thing, and I only use Twitter just for informational purposes, and and kind of for entertainment. Mostly for entertainment, actually. You guys see me talking a lot of shit on Twitter. Okay. All right. Well, that's it. Let's wrap it up for the day here.
Guys, yep, you guys heard my spiel at the beginning. This is the last chance for the introduction to options class, $250 usually. It's $175. Use the coupon code. You can just type in Twitter or use the link that I put in the chat. This is your last shot at it, guys, so hop in there.
All right. Have a good evening. We will talk to you soon, guys.